Hi everyone, I will be teaching fractions today. What's the meaning of fractions, how we add them, subtract them, multiply and divide or take reciprocals. Okay? So, what are fractions? I believe most of the kids love to paint, don't you? So, how do you get colors when you paint? You mix them in proper fractions, okay? And many of you love to cook, so we use fractional ingredients in a recipe to cook. And also, when you want to share your food stuff like cookies, toys, or a part of something which you want to give, whenever you want to give it in a part, we call it a fraction. Okay? For example, you have a pie, it's a whole pie, and you have a friend come over, and so you want to divide this full pie into two parts. So you divide it into half. So 1 by 2 is just half of this section. Okay, it's half of this is the whole pie, and this is the half of this. Okay, and then you have a half of half. That is, when you do half multiply by half, that is 1/4. That is 1/4 of a pie. Now if you want to share this whole pie with 3 friends, 1, 2 and 3, so in how many parts do you divide it? 3 by 4. This is 3/4 of a pie. Okay, a note is that if you add half 1/4, okay, you get 3/4, right? Similarly, so this is a trick for addition. What you do is you make the denominators equal when you're adding. So half plus 1/4 is equal to how much? All you have to do is you have to make the highest denominator here is 4, so you have to convert this half into 4. So you multiply this half again, both the numerator and the denominator, by 2 and 2. Okay, like this. That is half multiplied by 2 by 2, because 2 by 2 makes it 1, and then you add 1/4 to it, which makes it 2 by 4 plus 1 by 4, which is, then you can easily add up the numerators and denominators. So this is nothing but 3 by 4. And so now what I've taught you is addition of fractions. And you can also see from the picture that when you are adding half a pie with 1/4 of a pie, you get 3/4 of a pie. Okay, so whenever you have time, you can sit and practice these questions. And also note one more thing, that is when the numerator and the denominator are equal, the result is a complete thing. That is one whole pie or one whole book or whatever the whole thing is. Okay, next let's learn about subtraction of fractions. So when you subtract fractions, it's the same rule, but all you have to do is you make the numerator you make the denominator the same, but all you have to do is now subtract the numerators after you make the denominators the same. So let's take the same example, or slightly different, where you have 3/4 of a pie and a friend of yours comes and you have to give away 1/4 of a pie to her, right? So from 3/4, now you're taking away 1/4. So notice that the denominators are the same in this case. So that's easy. If the denominators are already the same, you just subtract the numerators and leave the denominator as it is. And also from this picture, it's evident that take this 3/4 pie, get rid of this 1/4, and what are you left off with? Half a pie, right? So the trick for addition or subtraction is to make the denominators equal. The number on the top is called the numerator and the number on the bottom is called the denominator. So you have to just make the denominators equal by multiplying and dividing with the same number. And if they're already equal, you don't have to do anything. So now let's take an example where the denominators are different. Let's subtract 1/4 from half, that is half minus 1/4. So here you have to, what do we divide and multiply by? And which number? The number half. Why? Because the number in the denominator 4 is greater. So we try to make the denominators the same. So just multiply and divide by 2. So you get, for the first number, so you get 2 by 4 minus 1 by 4, which is equal to 2 minus 1 divided by 4. So that is nothing but 1/4. Okay, And if you see this in a picture form, if you have half a pi, okay, and if you take away half from it, if you have 1/4 of a pi and if you take away half from it, you'll be left off with 1/4. Okay, so so basically from half a pi you're removing 1/4 of it. Okay, so you'll only be left off with this 1/4, and that's your result. So if you want, you can practice these. Let's move on and see how you make a generalized rule for addition and subtraction. This is called a cross multiplication rule. Just in case the numerators and denominators cannot be like, it's sometimes very hard to imagine with what number should I multiply and divide the numerator, or multiply and divide the denominator and get equal denominators. So we use this trick where you cross multiply the denominator of the first number with the numerator of the second, and you cross multiply the denominator of the second number with the numerator of the first. And when you are multiplying this way, you have to do it on to both the numerator and the denominator. So that means 1/3 has to be multiplied and divided by 4, okay, and 1/4 has to be multiplied and divided by 3. So then you get 12 in the denominators, and you can see what the numerators are and just add it up or subtract accordingly. Okay, so this is how it looks. 1/3 plus 1/4 cross multiply, so this becomes 1 times 4 plus 1 times 3 divided by 12. Okay, similarly 1/3 minus 1/4 is the same expression, but you subtract 4 times 1 minus 1 times 3, that is 4/3. Okay, so here when I didn't complete the calculation, it's just 1 times 4 is 4 and 1 times 3 is 3. So first you multiply and then you add. We are using Padmar's rule. Okay, so that's 7/12, and here it's 4 minus 3, that's 1/12. Got it? Now multiplications of fractions is very easy. All you have to do is take your pi, half a pi, and you multiply it by 1/4 of a pi. Okay, so all you do is multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators, as simple as that. So that's just 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 4 is 8. So you get 1/8 of a pi, and that's really a small number. So remember, as the denominator increases, the number actually becomes smaller and smaller. Okay, because the fraction is now lesser and lesser. So 1/4 is smaller than half. 1/8 is smaller than both 1/4 and 1/2. Okay. So now we have another simple number where we multiply 12/30 times 1/3. And what should this be? It's as simple as 12/90. But I'll leave it for you. The second one is simple. Okay, it's just this one. I'm just explaining how you get 1/8. Okay, that's the second example. That is half times 1/4. You can practice whenever you have time. Finally, division of fractions. Finally, let's learn how to divide fractions. To learn how to divide fractions, you need to know how to find reciprocals. What do reciprocals mean? They just mean the inverse of the number. That means the numerator becomes the denominator and the denominator becomes the numerator. Let's say, for example, you have half a pi and you divide it by another half of a pi. Okay, so when you're dividing it with the same number, that's half with half, what do you get? You get 1, right? So how do we explain this? We just take half of a pi, right? And you replace the division sign with the multiplication sign, and when you're replacing it with the multiplication sign, you have to take the reciprocal of the second number. So 1/2 becomes 2/1, which is 2. Okay, and then you just multiply it. That is half times 2, that's 1, right? Because the 2 and 2 get cancelled off and you're left off only with 1, right? So for learning divisions, you need to know reciprocals. Let's see this example where you have half divided by 1/4. In this case, when you perform the division, you have to replace this division sign with the multiplication sign and replace 1 by 4 by its reciprocal, that is 4 by 1, which is 4. Okay, and so you have 1 by 2 times 4, and 4 is nothing but 2 times 2, and you're left off with only 2. So the answer would be 2. Okay, so that's what we are left off with. That's 4 by 2, and so the final answer is 2. Okay, whenever you have time, you can go through these practice problems and you can further do what a reciprocal means, and then also convert things into lowest forms, which I'll be teaching you next time. Thank you for listening. I just want you to explain this to me really nice whenever you get a chance. And once again, thank you very much for listening. Bye.